Hello out there! Welcome to the fourth part of this Italeri Sea Hurricane build. Since last time, I have wiped clean the entire kit with alcohol to ready it for paint. We start by painting the entire kit black. Now, I usually go for the panel line pre-shading route, but this time I have decided to give the plane a different look. The attempt will be to give the paint job a patchy, weather-worn finish, like one would expect on a sea-going aircraft. In order to achieve this look, we will try a technique called marbling. However, I have not abandoned my panel line pre-shading entirely, and will try and incorporate that too, but it all starts with this black shadow coat. I have also prepared all the smaller parts for painting. Note here that instead of cutting the piece from the sprue, I have in fact cut the sprue itself. This way, I don't have to touch the actual piece itself, nor do I have to stick the piece in the blue tack, making painting it much more easier. Right, I have this AK Interactive RAF paint set, and I will be using RAF Sky for the plane's belly. Before I start painting, a good run over with the brush to remove any lint or dust that may have collected on the surface. Here we go. I have thinned the already airbrush ready AK paint by about 10%, since I will be painting on very low pressure, between 10 to 15 psi. The idea is to paint on a random squiggly finish. You will notice that even with this technique, I am staying inside the panels. I am hoping that I will get a good marbling effect as well as retain the panel line shading. Let's see how it goes. I have not shown it here, but I had to constantly clean the needle from collected paint to ensure that I keep getting nice thin lines. When I did end up splattering the paint, I just painted a random pattern over it. Now, with almost half the underside pre-shaded, it's time to blend it all together. I am spraying very light misty layers of paint, so that the blending is incremental by small degrees. This helps in controlling the amount of pre-shading showing through. You can cover the pre-shading as much or as little as you like. Personally, I want just a subtle hint to show through. The paint should not be a monotonous even layer, but at the same time it shouldn't be so patchy that it appears like the plane has measles. There we go. Looks alright. I am now going to repeat the same process on the top surface. I am using RAF Ocean Grey mixed with light blue. The Ocean Grey was just too grey and needed a hint of blue to match the cover art on the box, which is the look I am trying to achieve. This time, in addition to staying inside the panel lines, I am also painting along the camouflage pattern. No panel lines along the rear fuselage, since this part was covered in canvas. all done. I will now mask the first camo pattern with this artist's masking fluid. I have let the first pattern dry overnight. I am trying to paint on smooth curvy lines, avoiding jagged edges and abrupt turns. I have to work a little fast while applying the fluid, else it tends to dry up and stick to the brush while you are painting. You want to complete the section before that happens and ruins everything. While the masking fluid dries, it's a good time to mask the canopy. I prefer using thin strips of masking tape for masking. This technique suits me better and I like it for two reasons. Firstly, as I apply this piece, you can see that I retain the entire length of the original tape edge. This original edge, which was factory cut, is much more smoother, even and straight than anything I have been able to achieve by cutting with a hobby knife. The second reason I like this technique is that I have to use my knife for a minimum. Less time using a sharp edge on a clear part means less chance of cuts and scratches on the canopy. I will fill the gap in the center with masking fluid to complete the job. The forward half of the canopy is more of a challenge since its edges are not straight. So once again I fall back on the masking fluid. I don't know if you can tell, but instead of painting the fluid on, I am gently pushing it to the edges and allowing the surface tension to align it to the edge. Once the fluid is dry, I paint the cockpit interior paint on the canopy. In my case, it was Vallejo's pale green. Now, on to the second color of the camouflage scheme. I am using RAF green with a few drops of yellow in it. Once again, this is done to match the artwork on the box cover. On removing the masking, I felt that the two camo patterns did not really match in their patchiness. The light ocean grey was a little too patchy. So I gave it another coat of very diluted paint which I airbrushed on freehand. Right then, all done. The camera does not do justice to the finish and it looks a lot flatter on camera than it really is. But still the finish looks good. Well, that's all for this time, fellow modelers. I will catch you in the next and hopefully last edition of the build when we add the decals and weather the aircraft. Till then, good luck and happy modeling!